Yeah.
Michael Wallace, good to meet you, man.
Yeah, good to meet you too.
Glad to have you on the show.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Yeah, Joel, appreciate you hooking this up, man.
Yeah, you bet.
We just call you Director Joe around here.
Right?
Joel around here, getting the podcast rock and rolling. Your brother coming in to.
Yeah.
How did you just come out of the womb wanting to be a Instagram?
I think so. Yeah, I think I came out doing high kicks.
Yeah.
And
My wife and my daughter love
like
your-
twirling the umbilical cord.
My wife and my daughter love your stuff. I sorry, but I never heard of you until Joel just like, you ever seen my brother's channel? I'm like, no, he's got like 1.4 million followers on Instagram. He's got, whatever, you guys are doing all this cool stuff. But this was not even a thing when we were growing up.
No, it wasn't.
Like,
it wasn't even. It wasn't a thing at all for me. Like I don't believe like. I don't know. I was gonna say like I'm late to the game, but I don't know. I think it just like was when I was in high school. Social media, like making a living on social media, just wasn't really a thing. It was for maybe very, 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 very select few people.
Yeah.
But then the accessibility really opened up. COVID, I think. That's when we started.
Oh, really?
COVID shut down the world. And shut down, like made people basically be inside. In New York especially, things really shut down. And so I wasn't going to work and I was bored and was like, well, I do dumb videos just for the fun of it anyway and send it to my family. I'm like, well, this new app, TikTok, whatever this is, I'll just post on there because nobody knows me on there. Like, I didn't want to do it on Instagram because I was like, I don't know. I'm like, I have people following me, like 800. I never broke 1,000 followers, ever before. And then, so I posted on there and then it was like a video that me and my wife did on the honeymoon that it was probably like our third post or my third post on there. We didn't do it intentionally for Instagram or for social media. We just thought it was a silly thing. The pool, like the infinity pool, was like circular like this. So then if you're on the outside, people's heads were separate from people's bodies because of the refraction, I think. And so I did like a silly thing where I was talking to my body over there, and it went to like 8 million views in like a week. And then that kind of started the ball rolling where I was like, whoa, this is crazy, because like I was getting notification. And then I got managers reaching out being like, hey, can we monetize this and stuff? And that started the wheels turning up like, oh, this could become something business-wise.
Just doing stuff I sent to my brother.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, it all started, and it still is like, we just want to bring joy to people and brighten people's day, and that's still the through line to this day. But then the business side of it came along once it started to like really pick up some steam, and then I just went all in.
Yeah.
Once that happened, I just went all in.
So just to back up a little bit, because this podcast is, Let's Get It podcast is really about it's about success in general. I want to have successful people on and just awesome stories of people I want to talk to. But it's primarily there's a lot of focus around real estate business and whatnot. So just for a little context for the people that are listening, your Instagram channel is Micah and Sarah, right? Yep. You guys got 1.4 million followers there. You do a lot of silly videos. Like I said, started to kick off this. My wife and my daughter, they're always watching yours. They're like, did you see this one? I'm like, no, I didn't. And then I go down the rabbit hole and just watch your guys' stupidity. It makes me laugh. And I just keep going and going. I'm like, this is funny stuff. Like my favorite one, because we just had we got a baby boy at home. And he's 6 months old, and you did the one with if a man or something.
If adults were like babies.
Yeah, that was that one. So I watched that one a couple times just because it's so relatable to where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Just all of all the random stuff coming out of the baby's mouth and butt and noises. And
oh my gosh.
So you guys are Instagram, but you started on TikTok or?
Yeah, TikTok is where we kind of start. Well, I just started posting on there just for fun. Like, as I was just like, I'm bored. I want to make some silly dumb videos, and I'll post it on this app that nobody knows me on.
Yeah.
And then that really took off, and then I was like, okay, well, like if this is starting to become a thing, I want to also grow our Instagram, so I'm going to start to just like post on both of them.
Yeah.
And then also post on YouTube. I started doing that like late to the game, so we have like a couple 100,000 on there, but like that's now starting to grow. And then Facebook as well, that was another avenue as well that could. So it all started on TikTok, and then the TikTokification, as like Gary Vee says, and a lot of things happened in everything. Because I think Instagram Reels wasn't really a thing until TikTok came.
Right.
And then TikTok really took off. Everyone was on there. Instagram was like, I want to also be relevant. So like, you know.
I think Reels kind of came into place because of Snapchat a little bit, right? Kind of did that battle. I feel like with Snapchat.
Well, the Instagram Stories for sure.
Yeah, that's right. Stories, yeah.
Instagram Stories because
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Stories.
Because Snapchat was that's what it was. It was 24 hours.
That's right, it was
gone.
Stories.
24 hours gone.
So you follower count, you're 1.4 on Instagram. You've grown a YouTube channel to a couple 100,000. TikTok, where
2.2.
2.2.
Yeah.
So you guys got
and
followers.
Facebook 400,000.
400,000. Yeah. That's awesome.
Did you finally reclaim Facebook?
Yes.
Oh my lord.
Yes.
What do you
So
mean
for the
reclaim?
longest time, there was so many fake accounts. my watch on it backwards. Did you notice that?
I didn't
I was
notice.
like, you can read it,
I
but
saw
I
you take
can't.
a double. I didn't notice, but I saw you take a double look. Like, what's going on?
I was like, wait.
So I was like, an
did I
emergency
really
call.
just
No,
do
it's
that?
old. It's an old like digital or not digital watch.
It's an automatic. Or
Yeah, whatever.
It's yeah.
Not an Apple Watch.
Analog.
Analog. Yeah, it's an analog watch, and I thought he had maybe like an important notification. You did a double take. And I was like, oh, it's on. It's on.
No.
Upset
So if you guys want to tell me what time it is,
Right.
just go there.
We usually lose track of time in this
We do,
podcast. We've
yeah,
had
we're
the
really
3-hour
good at
podcast
that.
before, which I have a hard. We're closing a deal today and stuff, so I have a hard
Okay.
deadline.
Yeah,
But anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but Facebook, it's so easy to just make fake accounts.
Right.
And there was a fake account that had 200 to 300,000 followers, and we
Oh.
had.
And it was
1,000
after your guys' name?
Yeah. They
Sent it
just
to you?
basically they just took our stuff and then reposted it and made their account and and then they monetize on it and they make money, but what was frustrating is that we couldn't for the life of us grow our Facebook account because everybody thought that ours was the fake one.
Right.
Because ours had
Came
like
second.
a couple thousand
Yeah.
maybe followers, and so it was growing like just so low. So, but now like we
You
finally
can't ever talk to anybody at Facebook unless
No.
low life like me. I can't talk to anybody at Facebook.
Yeah.
I like you can't do anything there.
Yeah, no, it's difficult. Like and so we reported it, and then we just
Reported it again.
Yeah,
and
and
reported
again,
it
and again, and again, and again. And so, but finally now we're on the up and up, and like
They didn't give you that account, right? They just like
No,
ended that one,
we
and
just had
now
to grow
people
ours.
realize that one's gone, and
Yeah.
now you're just going.
Yep.
Did the other one? Do you know if the other one went away?
I don't know. I haven't looked. I don't know. I
He doesn't
haven't
want to
looked.
draw attention to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Things are going good.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah. And so, we're finally growing on there, and like I think now people know that is ours. And well, what I did is I like on Instagram I was like, hey guys, can you help us out? We have a bunch of accounts that are fake. This is our real one. Click on this.
Yeah.
If you could leave a review. That would like just help us know that, because some of the reviews that were on our account was like, this is the fake one, don't follow this one, like all this stuff. I was like, oh my gosh.
Frustrating. 'Cause
Yeah.
people are probably not even trying to do that.
No,
They're
they're
trying
not,
to actually
they're
be
not.
helpful and they're
Yes,
your fans.
yes,
and-
exactly.
yeah.
They're not doing it out of malice. I think they thought that obviously this account that has a lot more followers is the real one.
Yeah.
So, but it's crazy. It's like 3 years ago, I had 820 followers on Instagram, no TikTok, no Facebook, and no YouTube.
3 years ago. So wait, like, so I mean, COVID was this. We're talking 2021.
Yeah, it was 2021. So it was like it was on the back end of COVID. Yeah,
It's crazy how much life can change. And
it is crazy.
What was your guys? You and your wife's day-to-day jobs prior to that?
I worked in. We both worked 9 to 5s. We both worked at financial firms, so like private equity, and we were just the like I was an office assistant, so I would store, I'd resupply snacks and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and then she was the like front desk person,
Yeah.
and that's what we did, and we did that and this for all the way up until last year. She left her job in April, and then I left my job in she left her job in September of 2023, so she had her 1 year, and then I left in April of 2024 of this year. So we, for about 2 years, were both working 9 to 5s, and then outside of that, building and scaling this out. So it was a lot. It was a lot of work, but it was fun.
So you post the first pool video,
Mhm.
just kind of again just to be funny, and just like thinking like some family would see it, or just some friends and family would see it, and just like why?
No,
anyone
I just
posts
thought it was
anything?
funny. And I thought it was funny, and so.
And so then that one takes off. So prior to that, it's not like you were into watching these, like you mentioned Gary Vee before,
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that. You weren't watching anyone like that gave you the idea to go do something, or.
Well, I was more
Did you
so.
have any
I was more
inspiration?
so like watching him just for like success, inspiration,
Yeah,
like
mindset.
mindset. Like I just like loved those type of podcasts, and so yeah, I was kind of following him for a little bit, but then
But it wasn't to grow a
social
following
media?
or to create content.
no,
So it's pretty funny. You probably see the numbers go up. You're like, oh man, I'm gonna dive into it and now actually learn about.
For sure.
So then that's probably what you started doing,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, and because we both have performing backgrounds, so I went for musical theater, she went for dance. We met on the Beauty and the Beast national tour, and so then we kind of had that had it in our blood, but then we kind of took a step back from that to kind of focus more on getting our financial kind of security in place before that.
Because the level you were at is a grind. And
Yeah.
you're probably not getting paid at that
Oh,
level
I mean,
you're at, right? So I mean, it's not that you didn't necessarily like doing it. It's just
we loved
you had
doing
bills to
it.
pay.
It just we had bills to pay, and we'd think about like our financial future,
Yeah.
and then like having kids and stuff.
Yeah.
And so we were just like, okay, let's focus on scaling something out. And before this, we were building like an e-commerce business and kind of just looking to scale that out. And so that was our focus. So we were really into kind of like the personal growth and like business stuff for I don't know, 4 years maybe before social media kind of started to come along. And so we were kind of in that space, just like mindset wise. So then when this started to grow, it was, I'm really grateful for that 4 years, because I learned a lot just about the mentality you need to have as an entrepreneur as well as like a business owner, and I could just then kind of take a lot of that and then apply it to then growing and scaling out this thing that kind of came along and putting the work ethic behind it. And I think it helped ground like if I had the success in the social media like realm that we had now in my 20s, I think it would have like absolutely destroyed me. Like I don't think I would have had the self-image or the self-confidence, or because you're dealing with a lot of feedback. Like as biologically as humans, I don't think we were ever meant to have a million people say what they feel about you at one time. Yeah. And so it's like it can, you kind of have to really be a duck to lay some of that like go off your back. And then some things you can't let the praise get to you, because if you let that get to you, you'll let the not praise get to you. And so it's like you kind of have to just kind of take everything with a just like neutrally, and just be like grateful for the community. Like we have a very supportive community. We have very 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 few negative comments. But when they do come along, you do have to kind of just like, you have to like let it go and realize that person is probably hurting or struggling or something. And I don't think it doesn't it has nothing to do with me or anything like that. And so you kind of have to really let that go and let it not affect you, because it can definitely get to you.
Yeah, social media is a crazy thing, because like you use it in a much different way than I do.
Yeah.
I've been successful using it in my own way. Yeah. But like for me, it was very kind of much more indirect, right? Like I don't have a brand paying me or anything like that. I kind of just started sharing my journey of remodeling apartments and buying my first apartment building, and first little 4-unit in 2012, 2013, and just kind of kept documenting that whole thing. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I get people, hey, I'd like to invest with you. I'd like to invest with you. And it's like, but also like indirectly, not even like showing new people what I was doing. It showed a lot of people that already knew me, that just happened to be following me, what was going on. Hey, I see what you've been doing. I've been watching now for a while. Next time you have a project, let me know, because I want to be involved.
Yeah.
Right. So it's pretty crazy how, and then it's also, we found deals that way too. Other owners own real estate. They stumble on my stuff, and they happen to be like local or whatever, and they're like, hey, I'm looking to sell my building. And now before you know it, we're buying a deal off market with no competition. Yeah. From social media.
Very cool.
And so it's crazy how many different ways it can help. And then I look at like my wife's business is a little bit different. Downstairs, Dane Dental. she's very much more like local, right? So it's all like local stuff, which is an entirely different game to what I do.
Mouth.
So with her, it's like about her business really supports the community. It really builds a brand of like who they are, but her target is just like this target area, right? She could care less about going to get 1 million followers, or 20,000 followers. She's like, I just want like, there's 15,000 people here in this immediate area right now, Stoughton. That's who I want to reach, right? So it's just different. Like, you can really use and dial in social media to be what you can use it as a tool, like however you need to use it. It can be a hatchet, it can be a hammer, it can be whatever you need it to be, which is pretty sweet. Yeah. And so like even though I have a good concept of like how I can use it, like what you do, I'm like, I have no idea how that, like anybody, like how you do what you do, like again, from planning, I don't know how much of your stuff is planned, how much of your stuff is like just unscripted, just kind of you think of in the spur of the moment and roll with it. How much editing do you actually do? How do how these brand deals work and stuff like that? I think it's so like whatever you're willing to share. I think a lot of people that we follow just again love success stories, or follow us. They love success stories. They love go-getters, but there's also stuff that can be learned from what you guys are doing. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anything you do, like you can't treat something casually and expect a huge return. I love that. There's just like nothing out there that you do. So like when people, social media is this weird thing where it's so easy to see, it seems like people are just getting super lucky and it looks as if they just go click a photo, post, and then they go about their day. Well, and everyone that just listened could say, well, Micah, you work because you just posted a stupid pool video with no intention. It got 8 million views. But that video isn't what made you, that video is not what is giving you your livelihood now. It was the repeat, rinse every repeat, single day. Repeat. Yeah. For the first year of... so even if you do get lucky one time, it means nothing. Correct. Really. Oh my gosh. There are, I can't tell you the number of accounts on TikTok that have one video that has 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 million views that have 200,000 followers. Right. It's like anyone can, I seriously believe anyone can go viral once. Mm-hmm. Anyone can have a video pop off.
And I can attest to that. Well, you can. Yeah, the very first video that I posted of the chickens. Oh yeah. That did 2, 3, 4 million or something like that views. Yeah. Elizabeth posted one of the dog, the new dachshund. Yeah. And that thing did 5, 6, 7 million or something like that views. Yeah. So again, it's not your one-hit wonders don't make money. No. So there is a difference between having a viral video and consistently going viral. And consistently making videos, and that goes where like you're an entertainment company. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you're an entertainment company. I think people don't realize that. Like when they want to go down this thing of I want to be a social media influencer. Well, you're a company. You're an enterprise at that point. It takes a lot of effort. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like whether you're like us and you just are like you want to be entertainment, or you're somebody who has a small business and it's all about you making your own cookies, and so you film the process of you making your cookies. Like that's that's your company, and it's like there's nothing you can't get away from the work. You can't get away from doing the consistent work of building something of substance. Like to give you a picture, like the first year, so that video pops off, that's when I was like, oh, okay, this can become a business or a financial thing that can help us out. From that point on, I posted 2 to 3 TikToks and Reels and Facebook Reels every single day for a full year. After the pool. After when that start, kind of immediately. Yes. Immediately after the pool. Yes. Yeah, pretty much immediately after that. I was like, oh, I have to go all in on this. Like if I want this to become something and I enjoy it. And that was the other thing, is like, oh, I really like doing this. Oh, this also can this can become an income, like my full time. I'm gonna go all in. Mm-hmm. And so then that was working 9 to 5,
while I'm working, like I'm not working anymore, so I can say this. I can't get fired. At my 9 to 5, spending. I was lucky enough to be in a role where I could do a lot of my editing. So I was at my 9 to 5 doing editing in the bathroom. And then, taking some long bathroom breaks. Who hasn't done that work? Come on. And then, like immediately after work, going home and filming as much as I possibly can with my wife. And in those 4 years, we were living with 4 other roommates. Oh wow! So we were
That's how you roll in New York.
It was 6, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They had a 2-bedroom that they then put up a fake wall, make a 3rd bedroom, and
Oh yeah, so it was 6 of us in a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. So we didn't have the luxury of just filming whenever we wanted. We wanted to be respectful of our roommates, so we would have to find times in the day where it's like, hey, is everybody okay if we like film something, right quick right here? So it was like there was so much maneuvering. So that was from 9 to 5, worked my 9 to 5, did some editing there, and then from 5 to like 10 p.m. we were filming and I was editing and posting, and we did that for a full year, and we did that for 2 years. Posting 2 to 3 pieces of content every single day, posting on stories every single day for a full year. And then after the year, we grew from, I actually, do you mind if I pull it? I think I have the growth charts, because I was like, I want to see what happens here.
Is this like all platforms combined into one, or is it?
Yeah, this was, I think I broke it up from like Instagram and TikTok. It's like, I think I had growth over the years. Okay, growth through the years. So 2021 started. In 2022, we had 400,000 followers on TikTok. Started on Instagram with 875 followers in 2021. 2022, we had 20,000. So like, not crazy growth. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like there are some people, I have creator friends.
1,000 posts.
It was started month 1, month 2 they had 1 million, month 3 they had 2 million, month 4 they had 3 million, month 5 they had, there's those stories. Those kind of piss me off. But again, it's like they still had to post consistently and make good quality work. It's like you can't just rest on your laurels either. When your content, your quality starts to dip, people notice it, and your content's going to do worse, and it's only getting more competitive now because everybody's trying to do it. So you have to just get better. I look back on my content, in like 2021, I'm like, I kind of like cringe at it a little bit sometimes, where I'm like, oh gosh, man, why did I think that was good at that time? But I think you should be. I think like a year goes by, you look back, and if you're not cringing at your old content, you're not growing and you're not getting better.
Yeah.
And so,
and what you just said too, and I just want to
go
forward on your numbers. You went from on Instagram, 800 to 20,000. Mm-hmm.
In a full year.
You're doing 3 posts a day, so it's like 1,000 posts in a year. So per post, you're getting like 18 new followers per post.
Oh yeah,
right. So
minuscule.
It's not, so like, there's some people that could have been like, oh, screw this. From like, I'm not gonna do my. I'll still just edit. I'm gonna cut this back. I'm not doing the 5 to 10 p.m. stuff anymore. I'll still skip my regular job, and maybe I'm just gonna cut it down to 1 video. Right? There's a lot of people that had that mindset, whereas you were like just persistent with your mindset to be able to like make it through. You believe in it. You were consistent, and paid off now. Anyway, keep going.
No, yeah. I don't know why, but I was just like, it will happen eventually. I just like believed in ourselves, and I believed in myself, and believed that like we produced good content, and like we could make something of this, and so I was just.
It was already real to you.
It's yes.
You've already achieved it, and I feel the same way about everything we do in real estate.
Yeah, you kind of but you saw it before it happened.
This property we're buying right now, I've made 100 phone calls on this property over 10 years, and probably over this one I started probably calling in 14. But I believed I was gonna buy it one day.
Yep.
Well, the guy becomes in 2021. The guy becomes my neighbor. He lives 4 houses down from me.
Wow.
Right? Then we buy this building from him, and he happens to own those, right? So now we're buying those from him. But it's like I just knew it was gonna happen.
Yep.
And that's so it's the same feeling. Like you have to genuinely believe that you've already. There's times you have to believe that you've already accomplished it, and see it, and feel it, and taste it, and smell it, before it's even close to. And then you just have to also have the work that then you have to backfill all that with work.
Yeah, you can't do that on the couch.
Right. You have to backfill all that with work.
You do. You just and I really do believe, like, if you feel like, I was watching a Serena Williams documentary. I love sports documentaries because you just get a glimpse into, especially with the best of the best, what their mindset is and the work ethic, and I just like love that stuff. And when she won her first Wimbledon, she was like, this is gonna sound weird, but like I wasn't like overly excited because I already knew I was going to win. Like I had already pictured it, and I just like, this is gonna sound weird, it's ethereal or whatever. I wasn't nervous going into matches. I knew I was going to win.
Mm-hmm. And she already felt all those feelings of winning. She already felt like she did.
And so I just knew like it was a matter of time. It wasn't like if, it was when. And so I was just like, all right, this is just what I committed myself. I'm just going to keep consistent. And I mean, I think if you're wanting to build something of any substance, you have to be willing to give it at the minimum 5 years. Mm-hmm. At the minimum, people give things like a couple months sometimes and think like, well, it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't, if it doesn't. So I was like, in my mind, I was like, I am committing to 5 years. And then if this isn't becoming maybe like what I had hoped to, and maybe a door will open up somewhere else, but I'm committing to that. And so TikTok started at 0, 2022, 400,000, 2023, 1.1 million, and then 2024, 1.9 million. And so that was that. Instagram, so 875 to start, in 2022, 20,000, in 2023, 217,000. So 10x from 2022 to 23. 2023 to 2024 was 217,000 to 800,000. And then come January, it will probably be around 1.5 million. So 800,000 to 1.5 from 2024 to 2025, the start of 2025.
Yeah.
So from the beginning, when I'm absolutely grinding out reels, like 2 to 3 reels, that was the smallest margin of growth. Mm-hmm. 875 to 20,000. Mm-hmm. But anything you start it's like a locomotive starting. It's like it takes so much more energy and time to like get it going, but then when you got the momentum, it takes less kind of energy to put into it to keep it going. And so we just like, for me, I heard Gary Vee, it's like, I mean, he suggested doing at the minimum four posts a day. And so I didn't quite get to 4 posts a day. That's like really grinding out. But the process of doing that is just to hone your skills as well. First off, you're kind of throwing mud up against the wall. You're seeing what sticks, but then you're also kind of honing your skills. And so that first year, and then we cut it back to, okay, we're going to focus on one TikTok, one reel a day, but we're going to focus on quality as opposed to quantity. Yeah. Because then at that point we kind of realized what is working, what's not working, what to kind of put more of our focus and time in. So sometimes a video will take like 2-3 hours just to film, and then editing takes like another hour. So, and that's on one video.
And the average video length,
average video length is 30 to a minute, 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because part of it, you have to think of it. Part of it is just coming up with ideas. So it's like coming up with new ideas consistently. That can be like it's a lot to like come up with new ideas, and then the other idea, and then so you have this idea, and we'll go throughout our life, and if we have like interactions or something, I'm like, ooh, that could be like relatable and funny. So then I'll just put it in a note. And then it's about conceptualizing how you want to do that idea. Do you want it to be a skit? Do you want it to be a POV of somebody like filming you? Do you want it to be like selfie mode? And so there's so many different ways to kind of go about it. So you then figure out what and how you want to film it, and then you have to execute, and then execute it well. And so that all started, and then So I don't know where else you want to go with this.
No, if you have more to say, keep going.
Okay, so then the brand wise, so that kind of came about. So we got a manager.
Hold on, let me stop you there.
Yeah. You're good.
So with you just said, okay, do we selfie, do we point of view, do you ever have a concept of an idea and you guys film it multiple ways and then edit it first and then or not?
No, we typically will go into it and like we'll have this idea and we'll be like, okay, how do we want to do this? And we think of that first, and then we go after it. And then we go
so you're never shooting it 2 different ways, and then
no, because that would be a lot.
Right. It would be, but
yeah, it would be, and sometimes I mean there's been times where we had an idea, we filmed it, and then afterwards we're like, this isn't very good. Or it's like, this isn't very, like, I thought this was going to be funnier, and it's just not working, and then we scrap it, we just don't post it.
Do you ever then take one of those ideas, or take another idea that's working and recycle it?
Yes.
To then turn it into like a point of view, or that's sweet,
Yep. So, and there's so many, like, you could take a similar concept and do it a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
You know, and like a lot of our stuff is couple comedy, and now that we have a baby, we like bring in some stuff about that. But we also have performing backgrounds, so then we'll throw in singing and dancing, and you know, something that I think probably worked against us in some ways is that we didn't niche down. Like, we could have just went like, we are the singers, we are the dancers, and we're only going to do dancing content, we're only going to do singing content, and we probably would have grew faster, to be honest. But I didn't want to be put in a box.
Yeah, right.
I didn't want to be only singer, only dancer, or only comedy. I wanted to do all of it.
Right.
And frankly, for brands wise, you get where it's a lot, like when it comes to the lifestyle and the skit stuff, brands like that more than the singing and dancing, because it's like, how can you really talk about something while you're singing and dancing?
Right.
You can, you know, you could have it in, if a brand wants it just like product placement, it works. But other than that, you know, brands want you to talk about their product in some way, and it could be humorous and skit. So like, we did one for, and you know, and so we did one for them, and we did a skit based on it, and that went to like 30 million on Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, and so, but it's because they allowed us to have some creative freedom to do it in a comedic way where it was still showcasing them, but it was still, people didn't watch it being like, oh, here's an ad skit.
Right, yeah.
Like and we do our best.
When they got to 30 million views.
Exactly, yeah.
That's a ton of views
for an ad.
For a branded video.
It's huge.
Are
you that's a lot of views for a normal content.
Are you comped on performance for that? Or is it, so it's just, hey, we're going to pay you X fee for this post, so then however it performs?
Yep. So we got
loving you on that one, like, oh man, these guys are great.
Yeah, we worked with them for like a few other times before that too. So
I'd love to know the ROI
good relationship
for some of those companies where it's just like, how do the numbers work? To where do they?
Well,
it's gotta be hard. I mean,
it's totally. I mean, you know, if you're. Yeah, like on their side of things, they're like, we want to pay the least amount of money and you know, to get and get the most amount of deliverables. You know, to have somebody do the most for us to get it out there. And so that's where, I mean, for us, managers came along and we just let them do everything.
Yeah.
Like, we don't deal with negotiations and anything, and I love our managers, shout out, because they take in all the, like, if brands want to work with us, they'll do all the negotiating, and they'll go back and forth, and then come to us and say, this is what, you know, this is a brand that wants to work with you, this is the number, this is the amount of deliverables, do you want to take it or not? And then
so it could be like so for an example, it could be like, we'll pay you X, and we want 12 posts over the next 12 months or something. Yep.
Like
that.
Yep.
That's nice that you have managers that are doing a lot of that for you, you know.
Oh, it
allows you to stay in your lane, the creative, do what you're passionate about from the get-go.
Well, and they know how to negotiate.
Right.
Like, man,
right.
I've tried.
They know the market.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we got absolutely gutted the first brand deal we did because I didn't know anything. When you're green, I'm like, oh, I get free clothes. Sure, I'll post a bunch for you for some free clothes, and then you realize you talk to a manager and they're like, oh my gosh, they're like, you got absolutely
got raked.
But it's like you live and you learn, and so. Yeah, I'm super grateful. It's just a time saver too. It's like I can't be putting my bandwidth into doing
when
that.
You're growing, that
on
would
top
take up
of
so much more time than you couldn't have been editing and posting it.
Yeah. So and even now today, we both this is our full-time thing. It's like we have now a newborn, so that's another full-time job.
Yeah.
And so we wake up, and it's like we have a window until around 4:30 when the sun goes down to do as much filming as we can. And so we'll wake up, we'll film until like around 4:30-ish, and then I will edit and post from from like 5 until like 8. And so it's a 9 to 5.
So when you say you edit, you post, you're editing what you shot that day or earlier or whatever, and then you're posting and scheduling something onto the future, or are you posting live in that moment?
Posting most of them are just live, and then I'll sometimes I'll edit. I'll do a batch edit so that I have some prepared, so that especially if we're traveling or doing something, I want to batch content so that we can just have it all there, so that I'm not having to worry about and then editing and then think. Half of it's thinking, not half of it, but for me, it's like thinking of the caption, which is so silly. Because it's just a caption, but I put so much stock in it because I'm like, okay, do I draw attention to what is the caption? Right. Is it going to be about something that I did in the video so that people are waiting for that?
I look at one of your captions now. Talk about captions.
or am I gonna say there's a common caption talking about oh my gosh, the ending or whatever. I only say that if it's actually worth it at the end, because there's creators that will just put that because they want people to watch the whole thing, because algorithmically, watching a whole video will help you with your videos. And so I will put that, but if it's actually worth it because something actually happened at the end.
Yeah. Well, it's crazy because if people are listening right now and they said how much you think about captions, they're probably thinking about, is he writing a couple sentences or a half paragraph? I mean, everything going back the last this month so far, it's all 1 to 10 words the caption, if that. 10's a long caption maybe.
Yep.
So it's just interesting to look at.
Mm-hmm. So and so we so then when it comes to working with brand partnerships and stuff, we're pretty we don't take everything that comes along, we're not we want to work with brands that we've worked with, or that we actually that we've used, and if we haven't used it, we get it first. We try it. We want to make sure that we actually like it, because we're not just wanting to exactly. We're not here to just wanting to just make a bunch of money regardless of how good something is.
Do you turn down 10%, 30%, 60%?
Oh, probably 10%. They usually, we've talked with our managers about
weeding it out.
Yeah, and so they do a lot of weeding in before even bringing something to us.
Yeah.
And so that helps a lot. But then occasionally something will come along and it'll just be we just don't feel like this is we don't feel comfortable promoting this, or it's not something that really aligns with our values, and so it we'll turn down.
When it gets to the stage that you're at right now, how many at any given time, how many brand contracts do you have where it's you're under the thing of, okay, we want 6 posts over the next 6 months, or is it a couple? Is it 5?
Yeah, because that's the work part of it. It's it's all is when you get brand partnerships, they'll say we want 3 stories over the next 3 months, so 1 story per month. They each got to be 3 to 5 frames, and then a follow-up frame, and then it's like when, like, tell us when, like, have the content due by this so that we can approve it, and then maybe you have to reshoot it, and then you go live on this day and this day for this. And so when you have there's a lot of like moving parts to that, and especially if you're like, for stories, you want it to be organic in the day, as opposed to like if you're like, it just seems like it's like thrown in there. We try our best to just like make it so it's just pretty organically going through your day. And then the reels and the TikToks, that's usually, it's like one, or if it's like a longer term thing, it'll be like, 3 TikToks for this amount for the next 3 months. And those are always, you have to send it in, they have to approve it, and then once it's approved, then you can go live. And then there's a lot of like FTC and things that you have to do.
So you guys sign an agreement with a brand, you're usually, that first piece of content might not even be out there for 3 months?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
3, 4,
for sure.
That's how much of a delay it is?
Yeah, it could be, or sometimes like, so
it's almost all like a funnel.
Fourth quarter, like holidays come, and then brands go like crazy.
Right.
And they're like, hey, we want this, and we want like, could we get the content back? Like there was one that we got it, and they're like, do you think you could get the content in by 5 p.m. today? And we're like, no, we can't. And then they're like, we'll give you this much extra. We're like, we probably could do that. And so luckily we, like, her parents were in town at the time, and so we were just like, hey, we gotta bang this out. And so we like gave her the gave them our baby, put him in a room, and was like, let's just like figure, like, and we took the next like 3 hours, got it done, and got it back to them in time. But it was like, we wouldn't have been able to do that if they weren't there to see the baby, because it's like, so
so at any given time, you've got like 6 signed contracts and working on, or 3?
Yeah, it depends. Yeah, it's a handful
that you just at any given time. Then like it's almost like a pipeline. Mm-hmm. You got like a project tracker or something. You guys just kind of know what you got coming. And you just, yeah, it's sweet.
Yeah,
there's a lot more to, like, that's the thing too, is like you just look at, like, oh, he just randomly came up with that 2 days ago. It's like, well, no, they've been thinking about this for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sometimes re-edits, a lot of re-edit. Yeah, it is so much more work than people actually think it is. Like, it is like, I think I've been guilty of it too in the past, of just like, you see people and like, man, it must be so nice, like, to be able to just post something and get a bunch of views and get a bunch of money, and you're just, because you don't know any better, though.
Right.
It's like, you don't know what you don't know, and if you don't know the side of what it really takes to produce and do a lot of this stuff, it's like, yeah, I guess you kind of make things up in your brain of like what it would look like. But I think a good rule of thumb is like, anybody that has created any level of success in their life, you have to have the wherewithal that it probably took a lot of work, mm-hmm. and it probably takes a lot of work. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to justify it by saying like, they got lucky, or it must be so nice. People that have gotten lucky, it's probably because they made their own luck by working really hard.
Yeah.
Because they just work, it's like worked overtime, and we eventually got lucky because we posted every single day, 2-3 times a day, consistently for 3 years.
Yeah.
And then, but then it's one thing to like build up, and then another thing to maintain.
100%, yeah.
Like there's that aspect. I don't know if you find that in the business that you guys do, but it's like the ramping up part is one aspect of it, but then the other, when you've created something that's at a scale of a bigger scale, to hold it down.
That's the thing. That's the thing is I've actually never wanted to get into maintaining because
you wanted to continue.
Yeah, because like to get the momentum back, because you're only gonna maintain before you start. Like, there's no such thing as just this forever.
No.
At some point, like whether and for a lot of people, I feel like the maintaining turns into the the downfall sooner than later.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it's really hard to maintain versus like if you're always trying to push the envelope and grow. Because again, I feel like a lot of success is momentum based, and like it's like sports, right? I mean, when the momentum shifts, right? You can ask the Atlanta Falcons when Tom Brady came back and a huge comeback in the Super Bowl, right? I mean, the momentum shifted. They didn't even come close to getting him back, and the Patriots came back and had a huge win, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how I kind of view it as, man, I just never want to lose momentum. I never want to be in almost like a holding pattern.
That's exactly social media. You get momentum, and your whole that's been our mindset. It's like we have momentum right now, and it maybe it's like a little bit of a coming from a fear based because it's like I don't want to lose it.
Yeah,
there is a little bit of that probably because it's like, man, that it can to get momentum, what it takes, and to lose momentum, that it doesn't take that much. It's like going to the gym and going every single day. 100%. You finally get to where you're at physically, and losing it doesn't take that much, and it doesn't take that long.
Nope.
And it's the same with momentum in business. I would say probably it's like, okay, now we have it. It's like, I don't know how long this is going to last, so like let's ride it out as much as possible and just keep it going, because I mean that's the thing. I was hearing Gary Vee talk about. It's like Charli D'Amelio. Do you know who that is? She's the
big time TikTok, right?
Huge.
One of the first.
One of the first. Yeah. I don't know if she's the largest now. I think somebody overtook her, but she has like 160 million.
I don't think I've seen any of her content.
That's what's crazy. Is like I never see her come up on my For You page, but she has 160 million followers. Now she's on Broadway. It's like she's gonna be just fine, but. He's like, as soon as she stops posting, she will become irrelevant. Like people will literally forget about her because she's not posting. If you're not posting, you will just, if you stop posting for a year, people will forget about you. And they will, because their attention will go to the next person that is posting every single day. And they're like, and so out of sight, out of mind is so true. So it's like, that's the game that you're playing.
That is crazy.
I'm 16. All that work.
Yep.
Yeah, as soon as you stop. As soon as you stop.
But I think that goes back to, again, I'm never trying to just maintain stuff.
Right.
Like I always want, and it's, I talk a lot about it's almost, I think it can be unrelatable for some people because, or scary or whatever, because it's like, well, when is enough? And I'm like, well, it's not, you're growing or you're dying. Right? I always want to be getting better. I never want to be getting worse. And it's like, for me, it's everything in life, right? Like it's not just it's business, it's personally, it's spiritually, it's as a dad, as everything. I always want to be getting better. I never want to be trying to stay the same. Gravity's gonna pull. It's so much easier for gravity pulling this than it is, So
well, it's like what I said earlier of like if you're looking back, you should be looking back on your like old content and be like, wow, like I've gotten so much better. It shouldn't be like, oh, it's the same level as where I'm at. Like it should always be like growing and like you said, like that's the other balance is like I also want to be a great husband and a great father, and like that bandwidth is more important than the business. But the business is also what is feeding our family and like what is providing for us and for him like when he grows up. So it's figuring out what like where your priorities are at too to fill those buckets and make sure that those are growing at a rate as well, because it's very easy, especially with entrepreneurs or people that are really I don't know, producers or whatever that's it, high achievers. It can be easy for the family stuff to low by the wayside. They get like your 1%.
And there are in my opinion too, it's like true balance is really hard to obtain, and and so like I've always talked about like integration, trying to integrate as much as you can, you know, and there's gonna be times where something is a little bit less of a priority through a certain season.
Yep.
Right? But that's like the ebb and flow. There's an ebb and flow rhythm to all this too, in order to keep it all growing.
Yeah.
Right?
There is no rule book of like, this is balance.
And honestly, I think that's a big problem where people get into anxiety and some of these mental health issues. Is there's been so many things out there the last 10 years of work-life balance and balance. You gotta be balanced. And I think that whenever I've tried to, I think it was a handful of episodes ago with someone we had out here, I was talking about
Josh.
this. Yeah, that's right. We're talking about when the times of my life that I've tried to be balanced are like the most like irritable, unhappy, pissed off, stressed, full of anxiety that I've ever been, because it's like I feel at that point there's so much pressure to be balanced. Now I feel like I'm failing at everything.
Right.
So it's
And how was that? Because I know you guys got married COVID year.
That's when we got married too.
Yeah. Did you?
We didn't know. So we had a hotel that wanted to marry us, or we wanted to get married at the hotel. Hotel came back and said, okay, here's your offer, like here's the price. Oh, by the way, the tables, you can only have 6 to a table. Everyone has to wear a mask.
Yep.
Like, except for when you take a bite to eat or whatever. And everyone has to stay at their own table too. It was like you can't intermingle tables. I'm like, what is even the point to pay you guys this? So we ended up going to Lake Geneva, Walworth County, which is a lot more conservative, like hardly COVID.
You didn't even notice it.
Almost didn't even notice it in Walworth County compared to, you know, like we're at in Dane County. But, you know, so we ended up renting a boat on Lake Geneva and went out there and did that. That's where was that tough for you guys?
I mean, in New York, we were having it in New York. So when COVID came around in March, we were just like, these poor guys, because our wedding was slated for November of 2020. Yeah. And so when March happened, first off, everyone thought it was going to be 2 weeks, and then it, you know, prolonged a little bit longer than that, and we were like, man, these poor people with their summer weddings. Thank God we're in November, and then September comes, and we're like, we're gonna have to move August. It. So then we had to move it to. We moved it to like the wedding to May of next year, and then what we ended up doing was we came home. My dad married us, and it was just like my parents, her parents, and we just like got married so we could start our life together.
Out of New York.
Yeah, exactly. And then had like the wedding celebration in May. Yeah. Like
we went on a wedding tangent, but I think Joel was asking.
Oh yeah.
So once you got married,
because I mean that was right when you were kicking off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so you went. Right. Now you're newly married and still at the apartment for a bit in there with everybody.
Yeah, we were in there till 2022.
Right.
Yeah.
And trying to build this, and both of you working full-time jobs, and trying to build a business outside of that on top of all that.
Yeah.
Like how was that marital dynamic?
Yeah. Well, a lot
and work through.
Yeah. There was definitely some. Conversations and like hard conversations, but like also it can be so easy, especially when your wife is your business partner, and it's like you feel like you are with each other all the time because we technically are, but if it's business all day, if it's all about like, oh, what should we do with this idea? What should we do with that? But you're not actually spending.
You don't have a husband-wife hat on. You've got business partner or whatever. You got multiple hats, and you got the wrong hat on to feel the right emotions that you're married.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So it can be so easy to slip into you're just business partners, and then you forget your husband and wife.
And then it doesn't ever shut off to put the hat on them.
No, you have to be so intentional about that. It can be so easy. Like especially with what we do, you can think about it from the moment you wake up all the way till you sleep. You could be constantly thinking about new ideas, what we can do here, what we can do, different ways that we can do. It can just be, and that's just how my brain is going. It can be hard. So I have to like give myself like kind of time blocks of and this is what a lot of conversations is like, okay, from this point to this point, we're filming this point to this point, we're gonna edit, and then come this time, it's like phones over here, it's us.
Yep.
We're just
Family.
going to be
Yep.
together so
Yep.
that we can, and that took some time to get
Yep.
there. And again, like there is some certain days that maybe it's like we had no choice. Like we had a brand that came through like last minute. We have to, so it's like, you have to, that's life. I wish there was a perfect thing that we could say, a perfect schedule for everybody where your business is thriving, your marriage is thriving, you're a great father and a great mother every single day of your life. And I don't know if that's possible to do that, because there are certain days where it just like your bandwidth has to be taken up more from in this area. And sometimes maybe you choose to like, okay, no, this day is all about my son and my wife. And regardless of what comes through, it's like, sorry, maybe the business is gonna suffer today, but it's like, this is important.
Yeah, 100%.
It's
all good stuff. So with you guys, do you think of a lot of your ideas for your content? Is it just kind of in your head? Do you sketch stuff out? Are you a writer? Do you write out stories?
Yeah, it depends on the style. So if it's a skit based, those are always scripted. It's like and when I say skit style, it's like a TV show where it's like clip, 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 clip. And so those are scripted out of like, okay, you say this, I say this, you say this, I say this, you say this, I say this. Some of the performing ones, those can be a little bit more off the cuff sometimes. Maybe we'll, like if we both know the song already, it's like, okay, let's just see how this goes, kind of thing. We'll just go for it. And then like more lifestyle ones where if I'm going over and I'm like, babe, what are you doing, kind of a thing, and she's like, I don't know, she's shaving her mustache or something. I don't know. That's the first thing that can come to mind. She hasn't actually shaved her mustache. That's the first thing that can come to mind. It's like that's a little bit more off the cuff of like getting, back and forth, a little bit of a back and forth. So it just depends on the style. A lot of our ads will do scripts. We'll do like a skit base because it's the easiest way to integrate what the brand wants, as well as making it humorous and entertaining so that people actually want to watch it and not just skip on it. I don't know. Some creators can just plop their their phone selfie mode and be like, I'm sponsored by this brand and like this is how it's helped me, and they can do really well with it, and because that's maybe their style and stuff. If we did that, our content would absolutely tank. Absolutely tank. And so
you guys are very entertaining. I mean, you're good at making people laugh. That's probably why people are coming. Again, like my family's laughing at your stuff all the time, and I get a good laugh out of it too, and watch them a couple times over again. And so I mean, it's probably a different demographic or something, that just a different audience that those people must have.
Well, you kind of set the tone of like what to expect.
If
sure. People have been following us for so long, and they're expecting a certain style. They want to be entertained in some way. It may not always be a skit. It may be a song or a dance or a POV or something like that. But they're coming for just like fun content. And so I think you kind of have to stay with that. And if you want to divert, you just have to understand that maybe that's going to take some time to get your audience to get used to that. Because I've seen creators like they'll be very much like comedy, and then all of a sudden they're like, I want to start doing cooking and just doing cooking, and like there is a bit of a shift that needs to happen for audience to get used to. Oh, I'm going to be now seeing you make a sandwich, and this is going to be your content now. Kind of thing.
Do you guys like have like any future planning or thoughts on like an evolution of what your business looks like?
Yeah, I mean, we would love to start a brand at some point. And we have a podcast, and she has a.
When you say start a brand, what do you mean?
Start a brand is in like, well, I'm still like working out.
So this is what excites me.
What product exactly? Like I want a product to be. I do love clothes. It's a bit oversaturated market, but I've struggled with hair loss my whole life. I mean, all of us have. Shout out balding. But like, and so I've just been obsessed about keeping hair, and so I've kind of gone down, I mean, basically anything you possibly can do for that. And so I don't know, that's probably a hard market to get into, but I would love to work with somebody to create a formula for hair loss in some way.
Yeah.
But I know that Sarah has a blog. She's an amazing writer, and so I have been pushing her to write a book, and would love, and I think she will eventually, because she's gone through just like some crazy, just kind of a crazy life and different things that she's gone through that she's overcome and gotten through that I think a lot of people would resonate with.
It's like an autobiography almost on her.
Yeah. Yep. And so, and I think I think a lot of people would get a lot of value out of that. And so, like it would have to be something that we feel would add value to people. And we would be really passionate about. I'm not interested in just like creating something just to try to make some more money. I want to create something that, sure, we make some money from it, but really the focus is like, how can this really add value to somebody in a big way? And so yeah, we've been kind of starting to brainstorm how and what that looks like exactly.
Yeah.
I also
now you're not just getting compensated by someone else.
Right. Yeah.
For moving their product, you're building equity in your company.
Exactly.
Point, right. Which is ultimately way better than getting signed up for 6 posts from one company to do over 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And then they're just one-offs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's something that I've been starting to like ask about and talk about too with just like our managers and with maybe some other people that I've been working with is like, we'll working with you, but can we get like some equity in your company, kind of a thing, and like kind of do that angle and see and start to
do you watch or have you ever heard of Cody Sanchez at all?
She drove me nuts the other day. I almost fucking unfollowed her about the real estate shit. Like, you obviously don't know anything. She
doesn't. She is not a real estate person.
She shouldn't be saying what she's saying.
Correct. But when it comes to business,
who is this? I don't even know.
Whoa! It's just like I tagged like a couple of other buddies in this. I'm like, she clearly has no idea that you can operate real estate like a real business.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, she was saying
she is someone.
I feel like she was just almost doing it for views and clicks.
Yeah. She lives in the world of business acquisition. That's her whole brand, her whole channel, her whole everything is about how employees and lower paid people can still work deals in buying businesses. She's big in the boring business world. She's big in the hair salons or the garbage place, that kind of thing. But I was watching an interview with her, and she talked about just the creator community and the creator markets, and she's like, one of the big things that I think will be huge for content creators is structuring deals with acquisition. Meaning exactly what you're saying. She's like, I think the next wave is these personal brand people being able to structure their deals instead of just a paycheck.
Right.
Being able to actually get equity stake in smaller brands and help build that, because then their compoundedness on obviously the content that they're doing is way more beneficial than just a one-time paycheck.
I also think it incentivizes creators too to post more than they probably would if they were just doing a one-off.
Oh, 100%.
Because if they have equity in something, then they're going to want to promote the brand. So yeah.
It's also interesting though too to see where that goes, because like with what you just said too, at some point though you're trading your hours for dollars, and that's your craft that you should be paid for. And this is a problem that happens a lot in real estate. So someone will be like, oh, I'm gonna go buy this building, I'm gonna manage it myself, not pay myself anything, right? Well, if you can't, the next person that buys it, most likely they have a management company, they've already got all those expenses in there anyways, right? So like they almost lose like some type of value in there, because like again, that money is gonna be going out the door. So again, if you go buy a 50 unit apartment building and you just say, hey, I'm gonna underwrite this deal to make it work in a way where I'm not paying myself because I'm the owner, right? So you can remove a lot of expenses And then you, therefore then, and this actually happens, they then think, oh, I can actually pay more for this property, right? The problem is now is when you go to sell that 50 unit, there's not, you just completely limited your buyer pool, right? Because you're not including those expenses being in there. And I think that's the one thing that you said is like, don't forget that like, yes, there's sweat equity, but you also don't want to get in a position, in my mind, like where your craft is now just like, it's just all equity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
It's
sure.
Your time and your craft, you still, in my mindset, need to be paid for, right?
Oh, yeah. It would. I don't think it would ever be just that.
Right.
It would be like that alongside.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's a combination because because then you're really just you're kind of just like banking that this is really going to do well, and then you're not guaranteeing, and you're pouring a lot of time and investing a lot of bandwidth into that.
But I mean, I think it makes a ton of sense, and I think too, what's harder for people like you too, because you kind of already alluded to it, where like I really want to make sure it adds value, right? And it's like, well, that. I think the hard thing for a lot of people is like to really push and promote my own thing. It's one thing if it's gonna pay me something. If it's paying me, it's whatever, right? Or it's, you know, but like I think it's hard for people to be like, hey, I'm now doing that, and it's like to you know, to push your own thing. There's a mental thing there that a lot of people have to overcome sometimes.
Sure, yeah, because then it seems like you're like, I don't want people to just say like, oh, they're just promoting their thing again.
Yeah, right.
Whereas like they maybe it's a little bit more like, oh, they're like promoting this brand because they got to feed their family and stuff like that, and I get that.
But then then the other side of the coin to what I just said is, well, but if you're got your own brand and now that's the only thing you're pushing, then maybe people get sick of that too because it's only the one thing that's on there, right? So it's a very it's interesting.
Yeah. Have you guys personally LLC'd? Like
we LLC'd like after the first year, because we got crushed with the taxes.
That's why I was wondering.
Our tax person, thank you. Our accountant was just like, you need to do a corp like now.
Well, I mean, and going back to how we kind of started this, talking about like social media can be whatever it want to be. Like, I got Matt Ramage. I don't know if anyone knows him, but are you guys Packer fans, right?
Yeah, heck yeah. We're going to the Packer Vikings game on 29th.
Nice,
actually.
Sweet. That'll be a good one up there in Minneapolis.
Yeah. We're excited.
It's got flexed to 325 or whatever. So Matt Ramage, he worked at a cheese place up in the Green Bay area, whatever, and huge Packer fan. He, you know, and so like he's like a kind of like a Packers influencer now, basically. Like he's got 100,000 followers or whatever.
Nice.
Like he's turned into like where he's getting revenue from like Quick Trip supports him and like, you know,
sure.
And this one attorney and whatnot. But it's like it's paying him more than his full-time job now. Doing something that he's just always loved, the Green Bay Packers, and now posting about it. And then like he loves Quick Trip and like with the Packers and all that stuff. And like so Quick Trip is and so he intertwines that stuff in. When he does like a podcast, he does, you know, content, and it's crazy what stuff can turn into from social media. And it doesn't have to be random crazy clips or funny, like it can be so many different things, and the tool is amazing.
I mean, it really is. I mean, it's the new way of advertising too. It's like nobody's watching commercials. It's just why like the creator economy has really exploded because that's where everybody's attention is at. But also, I think that's the best way to approach social media. You should approach it in a way of like doing what you love to do. Don't like compare yourself to other people and try to mimic them. Like, be the best you. Do what is in your wheelhouse. And if you're obsessed with anime or animatronics and you have some at your home or whatever and you want to like show them off, then like just do content around there. There will be a market for it. Like there will be people that want to see that. And so I think if you can, like that guy, he just was doing what he loved and now he's able to make an income but also continue to do it while he loves. I think that's a great way to go about it, as opposed to it feeling like more of a job right from the get-go because you're just trying to make it or trying to become big, you're not going to be happy.
Yeah, it's been cool. Like I've known like Matt for a handful of years now. Like he was only making like $3,000 a year doing this. So like now like he'll sign some deal, he'll send me a text, dude, I just got that. Like he's like, I feel like I don't have no one to talk to, but he's like, I know I can share this business stuff with you. I'm like, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm like, keep going. I get amped for him, like cheering him on. And, it's awesome to see. How far along were you guys when? Well, it was then at that point in time your girlfriend or fiance but. You said like when that pool, you did the pool one, it goes 8 million views, whatever.
And that was your honeymoon, wasn't it?
That was our honeymoon.
Yeah.
So we were married.
So 2 or 3 posts a day. Was she like on board with you early on?
No.
Okay, so she thought you were nuts.
Oh yeah, she was not on board. I like definitely was like, well, so it was initially called the Micah Wallace was the TikTok, so it was me, and it was just I was just doing funny content and stuff like that, and they would do fine or whatever, but then anytime I brought her in, they would do much better, and so I was like, so which is great, but again, you're living with 4 roommates. You have such a small window of time, and you have to find time that works for you and your wife, who's also working. She, during COVID, she would, every other week, she'd be gone. So 1 full week she'd be gone because she was watching, she was a nanny or a personal assistant to help some sisters that had cerebral palsy, and so she was like, and during COVID, they moved, and so she would go for a full week's time and go live with them and help them. And so she was gone for a full week, and then she would come back and then have a week, and then that's when we would do our stuff. And then she'd be gone the next week. So we would not only have to work around our roommates' time, we would have to literally batch content every other week to post every single day for the full month.
That's a lot.
And newly married.
And we're newly married. So yeah, she was not on board in the beginning. She was just like, she kind of was like, hey, like she just like, we were kind of like doing this like e-commerce thing, and we're kind of, and so she was kind of like, it'll take away from doing that or whatever. I'm like, yeah, but this is like really starting to take off. And so there was kind of like this like back and forth, but then I just believed in it so much, and was just like, I'm like, I really do think that this is gonna become something. And so then eventually, as she started seeing the fruit come from it, she started to get more and more on board. Now she's like, we just had a conversation the other day, and she's like, I just like want to thank you for not giving up during that time in the beginning, because she's like, I realized that what like the life that we have and what we have now is because you didn't stop and like you pushed through and kept going.
What was that time frame for her buy-in? Like, was that a year, 2 years? Like, how long
I would
took?
Probably like the first year, if not like the first half a year at least.
A couple of consistent paychecks coming in.
Yeah. Then she started to see it a little bit more with that. When she started seeing paychecks come through, and then I think she started to see like, oh, this could become something, or this could provide for our family in a different way that I didn't see it initially, because I've been really focused on this area, right? Yeah. So it took, but now she is very much on board and excited about it.
So your team consists, obviously it's you and her.
Yep.
She's in the videos and in the content, and she probably helps think of ideas too.
Sometimes.
You think of the ideas. You do all the editing. Mm-hmm. You have a manager. Mm-hmm. Is there anyone else on your team?
We have so for our podcast, we have a podcast editor that does that. That's it. I do the filming, the editing, the posting, and thinking of the majority of the content.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's a lot.
Yeah, for
sure. Yeah, eventually I think I want to scale out, and we want to bring on somebody to kind of take on some of the just like the admin stuff that I don't, that can free up more bandwidth.
What are admin things you doing still?
Just like the posting, the captions,
gotcha.
Especially with brand partnerships, it's like keeping everything straight with calendars of like this content is due this time, this one needs to be posted on this day, and like there's just like a lot of moving parts that I spend a lot of time like worrying about and thinking.
I'm telling you, the moment that you hire that person, you'll be like, oh shit, should have done that a long time ago. What it's gonna free up, and all your other like. What other creative juice and all that stuff that you're gonna get from that?
For sure.
And I know it's always like it's hard to
make
add
that
another
investment.
person. Yeah, but then you do it and you're like, oh, that was just a no-brainer again. It's like
and
what you're getting back from that.
The scalability that opens up too. I mean, it from a creative standpoint, to take all that admin related stuff off your plate, even managing the calendar and just always be, you know, you don't wake up just thinking, oh, what can I create today? You know, there's so much of the logistics that's in your brain constantly.
Oh yeah, and sometimes that takes, you know, a few hours of just like, especially if like a brand, if a brand will be like, come back and be like, hey, can you make these edits, and you send back, and they're like, hey, that's good, but can you make this edits, and then you send back, and then it's like there's that back and forth, and that can take up so much of your time and like and effort, and then once that's done, you're kind of wiped, and you're like, but we still need to make an original content today, and we need to do this and this, post on stories and all that stuff. So then it's just like it's kind of like when we left our job for the first time, it's just like a little bit of that jump of like, oof, here goes a stable income that we're just kind of getting rid of for both of us. This is a little scary, and it's a little bit of a faith jump of just, you know, like, well, if we do this, we're gonna get back tenfold.
So this is also the conversation of, this goes back to, are you maintaining or are you trying to do this, right? And that next hire is you guys going like this versus I just want to maintain, right? Which again, maintain is already at some point, right? And I've really learned that over and over, like. There's still so many times where like I buy a real estate deal and I'm like, my bank account goes to zero. Like I'm all in. You know, I mean, we're you know, when we still try to make a key hire, you know, I hired we had 400 apartments when I hired a COO, and people are like, dude, you're crazy. Most people that hire that level have like 2,000, 3,000 units.
Oh,
like,
really?
You know, and I'm like, well, I believe in where we're going so much, like, and I need this because I need her to oversee the employee, because we self-manage all the properties that we buy.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm really good at putting the deals together, finding the diamonds in the rough. You know, I need someone that can take all these other things off my plate.
Yep.
You know, and then since then we've went on, like, our company takes the next step, and you know, we hire a VP of facilities, and now that takes another step, and we got a VP of operations, right? And then we elevate the COO to be the CEO of the management company.
Yeah.
And you know, every time we've done that, I've looked at like, I'm like, oh man, we finally just got some breathing room.
Yeah.
And it's like now all of it just gets dumped, and we're again back to zero at the end of the month to double down. But then it's like I see all these things that start to happen and how worth it is. And again, sometimes it takes a little while, and sometimes there's frustration. But 3 months, 6 months, 9 months later, you start to see all the fruit that starts to throw. And you're like, oh man, this is it's.
I wish I had done it sooner.
Yeah.
I know.
Like
that's what we believe. That's what we thought about leaving our jobs. To be honest, I'm like, wish we had done this a year ago.
Yeah. And well, and like now, the only place where it doesn't go right is if you don't hire the right person, right? So now there's a bump in the road. It's like, wait, it's usually not the position you created. It's okay, we didn't find the right person to fill that position. But like we just look at, you know, I look at that stuff all the time. But that's why, you know, I try to keep the pressure on me, right? And because again, that's where I'm gonna have this and not this to this. And by my bank account going to zero means I gotta wake up and grind the next day.
Right. You're kind of putting putting your back against the wall.
Yeah.
So and you work well though that way, right?
100%.
That's how you operate.
Yeah.
If you want to.
I get addicted to stuff. It's like I don't drink much alcohol because I can be good. I don't gamble because like I have a very addictive personality. Sure. Right, and so like I focus on I keep myself here. Yeah. And I keep my back against the wall so that we keep grinding. Yeah. And I just try not to become lazy because I'm worried I become addicted to laziness. Right.
It's kind of a thing where you burn your ships on a regular basis.
Yeah. I mean, this deal that we're closing, you know, that we started already doing remodels and like we push the envelope and everything we do, right? So like we just started. There's the 64 unit that we bought right behind us here. It takes us like right back to 2,000 units. We sold some units off. We're on 2,000 units now. And like this deal, we actually don't acquire it till later this week, but we already started remodeling the property. So before, so like we're pushing the envelope in certain things that we do too, which you know, it doesn't necessarily make me uncomfortable anymore. But like every time we used to push the envelope, like there's you always got to find that uncomfortable and break through it, and you're gonna reach the next level by doing that.
Well, it sounds like you also like when you get to a place of comfortability, you get uncomfortable because
I have to,
because you're like this like I'm probably not growing at the rate that I'm supposed to be if I'm this comfortable.
One way or another, I'll get in trouble if I'm too comfortable too long.
Yeah.
Because I'll
so then you put
lazy,
yourself in a position
I'll either get lazy and then everything, or I'll whatever, right? I mean, my neck started bothering me like my neck started bothering me like three months ago, and like you said with the working out thing, like it just went like now I'm back and I'm getting back to where I should be, but I've been grinding again now. It's like I can't. The moment that I go easy, it's too like I don't know, very habitual and I think everyone's like that. I mean, I think everyone's like that, and so I just always want to keep the pressure on. And the cool thing is too is like you said, you want to be able to the people that watch your stuff, you want to be able to add value, and I mean that's obviously I mean I want to be able to add value to the people that work here, and so like our CEO and our VPs, they get equity in every deal that we're doing now, and like that's almost like cool. Re-energized me a little bit. Not that I need more energy. But it's like, okay, now bring. But the cool thing is now I can apply even more pressure, right? Because I'm like, because like people have to be able to handle pressure if they're around me. Because I can apply quite a bit of pressure, and but I got a lot of pressure on myself. And so if you're gonna be in the room with me, you're gonna have some pressure on you too. But yeah, I think people having back against the wall, I think that usually is a good thing for people. You gotta fight. You gotta fight.
And especially like. There's well, you're young too. Like you can like we have the time, we have the energy, like we can do that to ourselves. Like maybe we'll get to 70 years old or 75, 80 years old, and then we'll be like, okay, we're wanting to like now take what we've accumulated and just like actually just like go and enjoy and whatever. But I don't know, like, I think do you feel like, because I very much operate in that way where I could just like go and then, but sometimes then relationships can maybe fall by the wayside. Do you feel like when you put yourself in that position, does that put any type of strain on like your relationship with your wife? Or
it's sometimes, and I mean,
are you guys kind of on the same page maybe?
Well, I mean, she runs her own business now, right? So it's become easier.
Yeah.
So like before she started being dental, right, which now she's had it open for what 2.5 years or whatever. There were times I think she really just could not relate.
Yeah, right.
And now there's like times she comes home and like I still remember those conversations prior to her owning a business, because I've been in the dirt now doing this for like 12 years, right? Yeah. So like. But she would come home and she would not understand or couldn't relate to what I went through and wouldn't understand certain things. Now she'll come home and say something and I almost just start laughing because I can think back to like 4 or 5 years ago where she had no idea, and I'm like, now you know.
Now you get it.
You know? So I think it's become easier as we've gone forward.
Yeah.
Now when I say everything that I just said over the last like 5 minutes, we still do a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah.
I've been to 2 Packer games this year. We've gone to Hawaii this year. We've gone to Nantucket this year. We're going to Key West this year. We've done numerous trips. Awesome. Like, so I'm not saying, like, and a lot of those things are really good for me, obviously personally, obviously for the family, but also business-wise as well. I have never gone to Hawaii and the business has not come back and like benefited from an idea I had there, a property that I happened to like, finally get under contract, and somehow like I saw it in a different, or like I didn't get under contract, but over there I was gone. I got to disconnect a little bit. I woke up one morning, thought of it in a different way. I'm like, wait, what if we structure it this way? Come back, get it under contract. So like every time that happened, it's just I have to be aware of. I can't go too much that way where it's like, hey, it's always a trip. Or it's just always like I still gotta be. So that's why sometimes we're on trips and like I'll still, like when we went to Nantucket, or if we go to Hawaii, the first couple mornings I'll wake up early because the time change. I'm up at like 1 or 2 a.m. sometimes, and I work for 4 or 5 hours, right? And I do that for the first couple mornings and get a full day of work in. I'm still up all day with family and whatnot. But again, I think that's just like, how do you make it all work? Right. And how do you mix it all together and just make it all work? Versus like, and I always feel so much better that way than trying to find this work-life balance.
Oh yeah.
And because I just,
Well, also, it like, especially if you have a relationship where you really like are communicative about this, like your wife probably would rather have you after you've worked 4 or 5 hours feel like you've accomplished something. You're and now you can be present. And be instead of maybe having like days after day of you just being like, I wish I could. Be doing,
like and then the same thing. Like there's a couple mornings they slept in, to like 9:30 or 10 o'clock, whatever. I just having like 2 mornings. I got up at 6:30 and worked till like 10 when they woke up. But then like I went like 3 or 4 hours without looking at my phone once. And then maybe I have to take a call or two. Okay, I gotta take a call or two, but and then put it back down again. But yeah, I think I think it helps. And I think she's come to understand that okay, he needs to get that energy and that side of him out of him. But I mean, I look at like when our son was born. I mean, there was 2 weeks where I hardly got any work done. But that's like where my focus should have been, was with my family at that point. I mean, I was at home. We didn't I hardly left the house, I think, for a week, and that first week when they're born, and, it feels like it's 6 months in that 1 week,
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you make your priorities, and you find a way to truly get it all done. And if you don't, then it's like, well, is that truly, if it's something you don't get done, was it truly your priority? Probably not, and maybe you just let that thing go. And I've learned that over the years too sometimes.
For sure. Yeah, that's definitely our next, because we just hired on actually somebody to come to our place like 2-3 times a week to just watch our son for 4 or 5 hours a day, so that we can just have 4 or 5 hours of uninterrupted time to do what we need to get done, because like he is such a good baby, but a baby needs attention, and like, and that can still break up your kind of flow. Like when you get into the, I'm sure you get like this, but you get into a certain flow state when you're just like going, and like if someone comes along and breaks up, it's kind of hard to adjust and come back and adjust and come back, and so.
It's draining having to do that.
It is, and so I think, and then so the next hire that we're probably going to end up doing is having an assistant, because and having somebody to also like, because we do a lot of flying and like just to do that stuff too. My gosh, I spent like a couple hours just like dealing with a canceled flight to like redo it and get a new one. I'm like, it's the most frustrating thing, because I'm just like, I could be doing anything else right now, and I'm having to deal with this. I think it's like, it's being willing to have, it's being willing to kind of like go backwards to move forward like this. And having the belief that that's going to happen.
You also I also have the mindset of, the reason I can put my bank account to zero is because I have the belief that I've got to push money away from me to get more money and time that comes back with that.
Well, it's an investment.
And that's exactly it. Every time that I push money away is an investment.
Right?
So I've got to be willing to, I got to be able to get rid of it. The money that I got in my account right now, I got to get rid of it. I got to get rid of it. I got to push it out there. And it'll come back around.
Well, just like an investment portfolio, it's like you're investing there because you're putting money in there because you are expecting a return, and you're believing that that's going to happen. So an investment into an assistant or something, or an employee or something like that, it's an investment to get time back, 100%. As well as then eventually more money back,
100%.
Because so it's like maybe reframing. It's an investment into your own time.
I mean, it's like we ended up just hiring a nanny that she's with, because it just it wasn't working out, and like we're looking at it like, oh, do we really want it? But it's like been like, it's double or 3x what we were paying prior, going to like a shared at another person's house. But like, it's just been so much. It's been so much better. Such a better experience. So worth it. The care and all that, like everything, top to bottom. But again, it's and there's so many people that just like when it comes to money, they're like, right?
Oh, yeah,
and they have a death grip on it. And it's really funny. I find it really ironic when they're like, you're really driven by money. I'm like, well, yeah, I'm motivated by what money can do for me. Is the, you know, like I use it as a tool.
Right.
But like, it's funny that you're the person that will not let go of any money at all for anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be like, yeah, here. I tell my daughter the cash flow she gets from, so whenever my daughter gets money, she's got to save 50% of it, put it into our projects. The other 50% she can spend on whatever she wants. Mm-hmm. So then it's a cycle, right? So then when she gets paid on the same day, our investors get paid. So she gets, you know, she gets $30 or whatever every, you know, third Thursday, and the money that she can spend, I'm like, I don't care if you burn it, I don't care if you throw it away, I don't care, whatever. Mm-hmm. Because it's coming back. It's like that's, and again, I don't literally mean that. But it's also it's sometimes the mentality that more people need to have is that understand money's a tool.
Yes.
And you can't just grip onto the money because it's not really about the money.
Right.
It's about the money is a resource and a tool, and how you deploy it, how you use it, how you can get it out of your hands. That's.
I think it comes down to like stewardship. It's like, how are you stewarding it? So it's I do like, I'm like, you aren't taking it with you when you die. And so it's like some people will just like, I mean, you know, to each their own. Like, you know, I'm not trying to like be judgmental or anything, but do people, I just believe that like if you worked your butt off to earn this, at least a portion of it, you should do something to enjoy your life. Like, enjoy life, enjoy
do what you
this
want to do.
work. Like, you work so hard, you're just gonna work and only work and then save up, and then what? Eventually something happens, then you have this money that's left for, you know, I don't know. I think
and don't let the outside world determine what you want to do as a big thing. Do what you're.
It's like you said, like setting up where it's like, okay, well, I'm putting away this no matter what, but then this. And I think some people have to mentally do that because otherwise they would just do this.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to force myself to just enjoy 20% of my income or something like that, so that I can spend it on a coffee or something that may seem like ridiculous, but it makes me happy, or a watch or something that you can say like, well, I don't need it, or like, well, yeah, but if you've already put in place a plan to like where you're already putting away and doubling this, you can enjoy some of the harvest that you've worked so hard for.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I like your idea of the brand and stuff like that. I mean, because again, like, I think what I tell everybody is like, so like any money that I get for earned income, I don't spend any of that. I invest it, and then the cash flow I spend, that's like just what I told my daughter, don't blow it. I'm like, that's where my experience money. We'll fly private every now and then. We'll do whatever. Yeah. But it's with that money that I know is coming back. It's not the money I work for. The money I work for, I'm going to invest it. It's never not going to be invested ever again. Right. It's always going to be invested.
Yep.
Right. So I think that's the piece for you guys too, and maybe part of that's through the brand. And I think it's awesome you guys doing a podcast because that probably branches out what you're doing. Even like it gives you a bigger web, or whatever. I don't know. It's a bigger pool. Bigger pool there for you to jump in, and so it's exciting. I'll have to check out some of those episodes. But,
it's fun. It's cool to like. There's a lot of different ways that we could go, and like it. Now we have kind of like the network, and so it's just like figuring out what that it really does have to be like. It really has to make sense to us and make sense that it feels purposeful.
For sure.
Like it has to feel.
I get that. You don't want to be the pimp. You'll pimp in the hoe, just like
right. It's
you
just
want to do something you believe in.
Yeah.
You like that. You believe.
Because ultimately, like it's just like, you want to feel purposeful in what you do, and if you don't, it doesn't really matter how much money you make. Like that's not gonna create your happiness. I think like getting out of financial stress can definitely bring you happiness. Having money and being happy, and not having money and being happy, I think people would always choose the having money and being happy. And so, but I still
that's unhappy or not happy.
That's what I mean. I think there's been people that exactly that have been. I think I forgot who it was. He's like, I've been poor and happy, and I've been rich and happy, and I'll take rich and happy any day of the week. And so it's not, but I do think that you need to have purpose in your life, and you have to have something that gives you that. Otherwise, collecting a paycheck when you're super unhappy or don't feel like purposeful in it is, I don't know.
Money's not going to buy you happiness.
It isn't.
Like Grant Cardone says, but it will buy you a jet.
Yeah, right.
It will buy you this
choices.
trip. It will buy you this time with your family. It will buy you
convenience.
And I totally on board with that. It's not going to make you more happy. Like right
now. No, and so like you said, it's like you're doing like you've done so well for yourself, but you're always wanting to kind of like push yourself to the next level, because if you don't, like,
you lose purpose.
You do lose purpose.
Yeah.
You do lose purpose,
yeah.
And that happens at every level. Like that's why billionaire, like, you know, a millionaire wants to then become a 10 millionaire, and then 100 millionaire, and then a billion. You know, it's like that keeps moving the envelope, and otherwise you get depressed, and then you like lose out on like, whoa, why am I here, kind of thing. So
100%.
Yeah.
Sweet. Joel, anything else? Mike, I appreciate you coming on, man. Posting Christmas around here and stuff like that. Yeah. You're coming in and hop on the podcast when you got a lot of other stuff going on. You're coming back to see family, and I hope the Packers get a win for you.
Yeah, come on now.
When they're
They should.
Tonight. So tonight, I don't know when we're dropping this podcast, but the Packers play the Saints play in Green Bay tonight, Monday Night Football, and Spencer Rattler or Riddler or whatever his name is. They're having the quarterback meetings in the freezer. I'm like, dude. Like just coming from my football background and stuff, like if you guys are having quarterback meet, like you've already lost the game. Now if I have to eat these words tomorrow, it's gonna suck. But like the Saints should have already lost this game, because if you are so concerned about 33, it's not like it's negative 10.
It's not even cold.
It's
here.
32, 35.
Right.
You're gonna have people out there in their shirts off, flip flops, shorts, and t-shirts.
Oh, yeah.
You know, people like it's and they're that like they got other things they should be concerned about other than sitting and having a meeting. They're meeting in a freezer.
That's what
they said. They had their cafeteria freezer.
Yeah. Cafeteria, commercial grade freezer. They had the quarterbacks had their positional meeting in the freezer.
Wow!
And I'm just
that way they can acclimate.
Yeah. So Matt Ramage, you guys should follow Matt Ramage, MATTRAMAGE, because he's the Packer influencer.
Sure.
You guys are Packer fans anyways. Like he's funny. Like he's a funny. He goes all over the board. But
I don't think your body works that way. I think it's got
to
have a little bit more time.
So he also had some fun with. I might have shared. I can't remember if I shared his stuff or not. But he had some fun with hearing about that too and stuff
That's
like that.
Funny.
So.
It should, you still have to show up and play, but I think they should be able to take this one. Yeah,
it should be awesome. You going to the game up in Minnesota.
Yeah, it'll be a really good one. They're both playing just so well this year.
Yeah,
and it would be just so Minnesota of them to lose at this point of the game. But
it'd
also
be very
so
Minnesota
Green Bay
of them to win out and then lose first round of playoffs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which
is also very Green Bay too,
you know? Yeah. Oh yeah, very Green Bay of going to the NFC Championship and losing.
And then losing.
Or losing right
to the 49ers.
At least it's consistently to the NFC Championship.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Micah, thank you for coming on. Everyone, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for
appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Sweet, man.
Awesome.
That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate you taking the time.
Of course.
Come on.
Of course. Thanks for having me on. It was fun.
Every time, Joel, we go over every time.
I know.
I like talking success stuff.
Yeah, no, I do too. I just gotta see if I got anything quick with this.